Hello everyone, today we're back into another tier list. Now this time we're making another Loomian Legacy PvP tier list, but this time with all of the pre-evolutions. So these are all of the pre-evolutions in the game. Let's make sure we're not missing any. I don't think we are missing any, because last time I made my PvP tier list, I did miss Duska and Nikazune. Does Globodemic count? I don't think Globodemic counts here, but so yeah, these are all the pre-evolutions, and we're going to rank them all from godly, good, average, meh, bad, and then we just got a tier called don't use, which I think a lot of these are going to be in this tier, so expect this tier to get filled up. But there are a few which are actually used in PvP, so let's get into this tier list. So let's start off with Torpray. Now, Torpray is average, and I'm going to tell you why. Very nimble Torpray actually outspeeds nimble Vesperado. So this can actually be used to outspeed Vesperado, so it can actually be very handy. And plus, Radiant Forecast is a very good move that could hit later in the game, so with Awakening, it would hit pretty hard. Despite not hitting as hard as Valkyrie, it's faster than Valkyrie, so you could actually somewhat use this. So it's an option. So I'm actually going to put it in average for that reason. Dimpire, I think it's also average. Blood Drain is a solid recovery move it can use. It's not Revival, but you could actually get some nice melee defense investment on this and still have Slackdown utility. Unfortunately, you won't have that spirit typing, which saves you. So, you know what? I'm going to demote it. I'm going to demote it into meh. So, yeah. Sorry. Snowkey is meh. It's solid. It can work, but just use Himber. Himber's a lot better. Stozap is the same way. I think it's usable. I think Stozap is usable, but it's just meh. So, yeah. It's just meh. Twilight, it's literally impossible to use. Unless you get Rainbow Twilight, don't use. Propay is actually good. Now, Propay in PvP is actually very good. It gets defensive priority, poison, pestilence, and you can even run Airblade. So it actually has some uses. Despite not being as good as it once was at the start, it's still a Loomian that can be used on PvP, and I can even see it as an oddball for some teams. So actually, Propay is really good. Catthorn, don't use. You can use Propay, so don't use. Eaglet, don't use. Dimpire, don't use. Honestly, a lot of the first evolutions just go into don't use, because if you're in the first evolution, you're not going to be as strong as the second evolution. So, unfortunately, a lot of these are going to be down here. Paratweet is meh. It has some uses. It can get Perch and have the same moves as Avitross. I think it's apart from Nosedive, but it's just not quite as good. Just use Avitross if you want to use this thing. You could be more bulky, but that's really it. Twiddle, nope. Spider, do I put it in bad? It can poison, but it doesn't really have the best defenses. Antsy, don't use. Actually, let me think about Antsy again. It's just typing. Its typing's horrible. Grubby, don't use, because you could use Cornucopia. Now, Cornucopia is good. It doesn't poison stall like Propay, but you can actually pestilence stall it. Embrace. This can actually beat a lot of melee attackers, and is very surprising. I don't think it's as good as Propay, but I think it's better than Torpray. I will put you in average. You can quick pounce with Ability Thief, and you can steal someone's ability, which no one would expect. So I think I like you being there. And I think you still get Mega Punch. I'm not 100% sure on that one, but I think Kleptyke is actually solid and can actually be used as a pre-evolution if you want to. As like a bulky Ragoon. Kind of like a bulkier Ragoon that doesn't hit quite as hard. So I could see that. Plus you can spam Sharpen. So only difference is no recovery. Abort, you suck. Geklo is good. Geklo is actually very good at PvP because with Lightning Rod, and it can actually use the Drop of Youth, it's actually a very good range defense. I don't think it's as good as Propay, but Geklo is very good. especially for countering Protagons, Zulongs. You could K stuff. You can have Earthquake as coverage, Light Dash as priority. It's one of the few Loomians with priority moves, I think, other than Snowkey and a couple others. There are not many that have that type of move. So yeah, Geklow's in the good. Slugling is meh. Slugling is meh. It can be used. It can actually be used. But if you want to use Slugling, use Excadrill. That's in the good tier. It can be so range bulky, it's amazing, especially on the range side. Kabunga's average. You can actually use Kabunga as like a speed, and you can since it has fast speed, you can actually use Kabunga in PvP, and it actually is solid. If you run Noxious Weeds, so you can go into any plant move, you can come in, and you can Muck Blast something and do some damage. Or you could Toxic Spore stall them. So yeah, I think Kabunga's actually very solid at PvP, at least compared to the other pre-evolutions. Tripple's meh. And the reason why Dripple is meh, it's because it's one of the first evolutions that can actually be usable. Problem is, just use Reptide. That's good. It's a weaker Luminami, yes, but it's still got that Power Naval ability, and it is insane. Honestly, I'm even thinking about turning it to Godly, but I don't think so. I think I'm going to keep it in good. Compod's actually good, because with Drop of Youth and Battering Ram, this thing can actually hit pretty hard still. This is one of the hardest hitters out of the pre-evolutions, and it's still really melee tanky. Problem is you won't get Geyser, so you'll probably run Frost Beam instead, but still. I think Gumpod is a very good pre-evolution. Meh. And the reason why Fan Cub is meh, because again, you have priority moves. You do have priority moves, which it could make it useful, but other than that, typing just doesn't quite fit. Now, I think Wizzpup is average, because you could click Final Ruse, and it's just very good. Let me just turn my sound down for a second. So, yeah, you can actually click Final Ruse with this, which makes it rather solid. Plus, you can accelerate and outspeed anything in the game. So, Wizzpup is probably one of the best defensive-wise, at least for its typing. I really like Wizzpup. Skalava, don't use. Cradle is either meh or bad. It's meh. If you run Volcanic, it can actually be somewhat useful, but again, there's a lot better options. Because there's Gekasplode. Gekasplode's good. It can Magma Block. It can Magma Block and do a lot of damage. So it can actually kind of stall down melee attackers pretty well. Gekasplode can be very good as a Drop of Youth Loomian. Agneal is bad. Crysight, on the other hand, is good. Hardest hitting pre-evolution in the game. If you run very robust and Body Crash, this thing can do a lot of damage. Primal Slash hits Spirit types. I'm even debating about putting it in Godly. You know what? I'm going to put it in Godly. I think it's just there. I think this is our first God tier pre-evolution Loomian. I do recommend this in PvP, by the way. Not as good as Obsidian because you can't heal, but it is a very good alternative if you want an even bulkier Loomian. These guys just don't work. These guys you really cannot use for PvP, unfortunately. Chompactor's bad. It's because it does have Quick Punch for priority, and I guess if you run Specialization Quick Punch, it wouldn't be too bad, but still. And I guess Rev Up too, but you'll usually be dead by the time before you can even get the Rev Up off, so it's just not good. Score might be one of the worst in terms of PvP. Fevine, not that good. Valiant is meh. Has solid defenses and solid moves. It's just you don't get the great moves that can really help it out. Plus, with no form of recovery, it just makes it rather rough. Raging Flame, though, can make it good, though, but that's pretty much it. That's why it's not in bad. Raging Flame can actually cause some burns. Felver is bad, because it's weak to Icicle Traps. Tatab is just better, so, yeah. Wild Isle's good. It's fast, and it actually deals some nice damage with Aqua Jaw. So yeah, Wild Isle is a faster Mulmerk that can actually probably be better in certain situations. He might even be God tier. You know what? It has photosynthesis, so you know what? I will actually put it in the God tier. Even though it has nothing to really stall down Loomians, it is tanky enough to photosynthesis and aqua jaws, and eventually snowballing that Loomian it's battling. So yeah, Wild Isle is going to be in the God tier. Poochral is meh. It just doesn't work. It's still solid. Like, it's better than everyone down here, but it's just not quite there. Same with Paramine. I think it's meh. It's very good under Bane of Haste, but that's pretty much it. Wakwala just doesn't work. I'm going to put it in bad and not in don't use because one reason. Talent trade lazy away, but that's really it. Ratburn is good. Ratburn is really good. Really good melee defense tank with Terrifying. And since it has great coverage, it has slapdown utility, you can use Raging Flames to completely knock over melee attackers if you really want to. So, Ratburn is actually really, really good. I heavily recommend. This might be at the top of good. I really like it. Tarini is also good. Barter Heavy Shackles with the Handy ability is really good. I really like Tariti, although I guess Dyborg is better, but still. Tariti is usable in PvP. Wimpoor, just don't use. Don't use Wimpoor. Don't use Operaptor neither. Don't use Optorator because you got Concreton, which is average. Concreton is average. It is bulkier than Tyrex, but Tyrex is just slightly better. It hits harder and just works better. Pike is don't use. Korogo is bad. Surrogate, Poison Barbs, I guess, but that's really it. Amphibion. There's actually a pretty good fact about Amphibion. I'm going to put him in meh. No, actually, I'll put him in average. Because this thing is actually faster than Metatoad and can actually be used for specialization better. So, even though it doesn't quite hit as hard, it actually is faster and could be usable. By the way, do you know that this is the only pre-evolution that could potentially one-shot the Heavy Bag? Yep, it's true. This is the only pre-evolution that could potentially one-shot the Heavy Bag. Actually, does it? Doesn't Christlight do it? Christlight might do it. I'm going to have to look it up. Christlight might do it. I might have to do some tests. Which makes this thing, Ampole, not useful. So I wouldn't use Ampole. Pwuff is God. Pwuff is godly. Tanky, Rejuvenate, Icicle Traps. This thing is godly. Poison. It's also a poison type, so you can get rid of barbs with it. So this thing is amazing. This thing can actually beat Cephalops, which is just amazing. Christmas Cradle is actually average. This beats Swolder. It has a lot more speed than Festifer, so it's really good as like a harder hitter that's slightly faster. Even though it doesn't quite hit as hard, the chill ability makes it really good. It can actually be really usable, and I like it. Snapper, same way. With the Power Draw ability, it could actually make it usable, but again, that lower speed just completely throws this guy down. I might even demote it, but I think I'm going to keep it. Don't use Goppy. Goppy just is not usable. You could Tase with Zaleo, so I will put him in bad, but still don't really recommend using him. Dobo's average. You can use him for like a Scorching Skin set. You can use like Scorching Skin with like the Drop of Use. Unfortunately, you don't have any way to heal. That's the thing, you have no way to heal. Plus, I think Ratburn does the job a little bit better. Hydrini, don't use. I don't think there's anything else to say about that. Don't use you because Triephion is better, so I wouldn't use that. Are you seeing all? Okay, all the Bezeldu is godly. Bezeldu is amazing. I mean, it has Feral Blast, and it can even use Water Bomb, which is a solid move. Not great, but solid. Peace of Mind and Soft Water. This thing is actually amazing. It's so tanky. It's amazing. It's probably one of the tankier Loomians in the game. And Bezeldu can also heal your teammates with Feral Blast. So this thing is amazing. Plus, its offensive typing just works so well. If you set up enough Peace of Minds, you can defeat a lot of Loomians. Kapoink, don't use. Totemochi's average. Its speed tier is good, and it has great attack moves, actually. This is probably one of the few that you can actually just run normal stats on and actually hit pretty solidly. I do like Totemochi. Mochibi, don't use. If there's Totemochi, don't use. Yeah, this Valentine's Day Fan Cub is just not worth using. The regular Fan Cub's better because of priority and hits harder. Not you, unfortunately. It's just This guy is not that good. I guess ignorant, but even then, it just doesn't work. Coupling is bad. Not bad, not horrible. Because playful and the faster speed could make it useful in certain situations, but again, there is another pre-evolution Loomian that does the job better. We'll get them in a second. Pipsy, don't use. Copperage, good. I love Copperage. It is really tanky. Amazing typing overall. Driving's Force utility. So yeah, I can use Driving's Force. And it's the moves that it has. It can run Steel Crusher. It can run Primal Slash, Bulk Up, Rejuvenate, Driving's Force. There's so many moves you can potentially run on this guy. It's amazing. I love Copperage, and it shocks me time and time again. This is definitely the best pre-evolution in terms of get rid of barbs. And we're not getting rid, but like screwing over other teams with barbs and icicle traps. It's amazing. And even better, with Playful, you can actually you can give Sharpen onto like a teammate, and then, oh my goodness, it just wrecks. So, yeah, Copperage is good for a bunch of different reasons. Tandalil is bad. It's typing. It can hit solidly, but it's bad. It's breathy, not good. Eno Husk is actually average. It's very tanky. The only reason it's not at Pro Pays level is because it does lose health with its ability. Its ability does make it lose health. And actually, these are the last few Loomians. Yeah, these are the last ones. I'm going to check after this. Snowell, just don't use. You don't use Snowell. Stricycle's average. Stricycle you can use, because Stricycle can actually use Baffle. This is actually a very solid Baffle user. Despite not being as tanky as the other guys, you can actually use this as a Baffle user. And it works pretty well for what it does. So, yeah, I'm going to put it in the average tier. Halloween Kabunga, it's average. It's a really good Bane of Haste setter. Very good under Bane of Haste. The typing sucks, but it is probably one of the best under Bane of Haste. Don't use this thing. I think that is... What is this thing? I know that's Snapper, but what's this thing? Swimp. I think it's Swimp's the name. You don't want to use Baroche. Baroche isn't that good. Vari's bad. And the reason why Vari is not don't use is because it does have quick pounce, and it could be useful with Adorable, but that's pretty much it. Worm, don't use. Although, we're saving the best pre-evolution Loomian for last. Odasho. And of course, Odasho is on the godly tier. And let's just explain why Odasho is in this tier. Poison Barbs, Sap Plant, Pestilence, Dodge. It's a very tanky Loomian with defensive priority that can get health back from Sap Plant, can hypnotize, can trap things in, can use Poison Barbs. This thing is the best pre-evolution in the entire game, and it's so bulky. Not even super effective moves can really kill it. It can live like 2 Ice Hammers from a Himber sometimes. It's insane. And the thing that makes this even better is that since it's a straight up bug typing, you can actually resist a lot of moves. There's a lot of moves that you resist. Of course, you're weak to Ice Brawler and Icicle Traps, which does suck, but it's so amazing. This thing can tank so many hits. It's just absurd. And since it gets health back from Sap Plant, it's so hard to take down once you're snowballed and stuck. This thing is so good that a lot of teams actually use Odasho. A lot of regular people use Odasho, and it's probably one of the few pre-evolutions I even see people use. A lot of the other pre-evolutions you almost never see used. Like, I sometimes see a Red Burn or a Pro Pay or like a Cornucopia every once in a while. Your occasional Pluff. But Odasho is one of the consistent pre-evolution Loomians I constantly see. So this is by far the best. And I mean the best pre-evolution Loomian in the game. And I don't even think it's even close. It's insane how insane Odasho is. So yeah, this is my tier list for the PvP tier list for pre-evolutions. These are top 5. Odasho, Chrysite, Wild Isle, Pluck, and Bezeldew. I think if I were to rank the top 5, this would be what I would rank the top 5. I would rank that as the top 5 pre-evolutions to use in the game. And then there's the good tiers like your Pro Peg, Cornucopia, Geklo, your Reptide. All these Loomians can actually be used pretty well. Average, specific purposes that these guys could have could be fun. Nah, they're just there. You know, you could use them, but they're not the best. Bad, they're just not good and don't use. Just don't use them. So, this is my pre-evolutions tier list. I hope y'all guys enjoyed it. I'm sorry guys, I'm back. I actually did forget one Loomian. And I forgot a really good Loomian too, as you could see. So I was rechecking the list after the video, and I missed Triathlon. And the reason why I did, it actually looks like a fully evolved Loomian. I mean, this thing is big. So I did actually miss Triathlon. So I am gonna rank it. It's in the good tier. I like Triathlon. It has life drain. It can heal its health well with Fat Plant, and it tanks relatively well. So Triathlon is actually really good. I like Triathlon a lot. So I will put him there. So yeah, I'm sorry about that, guys. It kind of came out of nowhere. But I wanted to rank Triathlon because, you know, unfortunately, I forgot in the video. So I hope y'all guys enjoyed the tier list, because this was a very interesting one to make, because these guys, you don't really see these guys in PvP that often. So ranking their skills is really good. I like doing this. I hope y'all guys enjoyed this pre-evolutions tier list, and I will see y'all all later. Bye-bye!